Life's Terms Coach, and we are getting on here early today. Today is Wednesday, Winsday. Cheers, coffee. So I've been talking, I usually pick a topic of the week. And then with it being Wednesday, there's a lot of W's floating around today. Are you worried about it, wallowing in it, or working on it? How to overcome this feeling of defeat with all that's going on. And some of it's to our own making without us even realizing it, that it's, to our own making, because maybe you were taught to worry. This can be a learned behavior. When we were growing up, if, that dialogue from 1 to 12 years old, good morning, ever experience? How are you doing? We're taking a deeper dive into, it's Wednesday, Winsday. So we're taking a deeper dive into winning, picking one day of the week just to consider our wins, And a lot of people don't do that. So many people are busy counting their losses. And I know that I'm not an illusion. I'm doing good too. I am going to take a break today and go to the beach. I'm always trying to create content. I'm always trying to be present, on the social media and stuff. But sometimes we just got to unplug and go to the beach. And Wednesday is a good day to do that midweek if we can. Not everybody has that luxury, and that is indeed a luxury. I get it. But a lot of people have problems enjoying a luxury, right? And they think that a luxury, I don't know what everybody thinks, but I know that a lot of people consider a luxury the brand new cell phone, the whatever it is. I don't even know the number that it is right now. You're going to the gym in next 1 hour. All right. See, that's being good to yourself, and that's winning because you're doing your self-discipline. Good for you. I've got to get back in my routine of working out. I work out here in the house, but I had company last week, and our routines and it wasn't really company. She's like family. But anyway, my routine was off, but we can always get back on track. Every day can be Monday, right? Because so many people say, I'm going to get back on track on Monday. And one of my clients said that they heard somebody that said, every day can be Monday. So right now, some of the people that I work with are experiencing job loss and fear of loss. And this fear and safety have a lot to do with our central nervous system. And this worrying or wallowing may be a learned behavior through our nervous system. I study all the time. So this is why I'm taking a break going to the beach today too. Is that most of the information that have formed our words, that have formed our thoughts, was fed to us from 1 to 12 years old. Everything that we saw and heard and the behaviors that we mimicked and modeled after our caregivers, 1 to 12. And I know for me, I used to hear my mom say, well, I'm worried about this or I'm worried about that, and give a lot of energy and even wallowing in that worry. But the thing about worrying or wallowing is it doesn't change the outcome any faster than if you just go to the beach on Wednesday, right? Sometimes you just got to take a break. Worrying and wallowing is not control. You cannot control some of the things that we worry and wallow about. Some of that is we're feeding it to ourselves through the algorithms, and to be mindful of the algorithms that we're feeding ourselves. So that's why I try to get on here, as I set an intention and motivation. And so, being mindful. Mindfulness is not some woo-woo thing out there. Mindfulness is me being in control of my mind rather than my mind being in control of me, and to understand what I am feeding my mind and the importance and relevance of it. Sometimes I go down the rabbit hole too. We all could go down the rabbit hole, and it's not the social media that's the problem. It's what are you looking for? What are you looking for? Because some people tell me, I've got to get off of this, I've got to get off of that. And it's simply because their algorithm is feeding on what they've been looking for. So to be mindful, like for me, I'm building a business in these times, and it's, I could make up a story about how uneasy it is. I have a person, at least one person who's unemployed right now, who lost their job, and they're worried. And, give yourself some time to worry. I would worry too. I'm not saying, but don't wallow in it. Is it okay? Then start working on it, worrying about it, wallowing in it, and then working on it. because we might have learned those other behaviors. And asking ourselves, does this serve us? Asking ourselves when we're going down that rabbit hole of investigating and finding the evidence of our belief system is, how is it helping us today? How is it going to help me today? Is it going to help me? Is it working on it? Is it being productive? Sometimes you got to take a break and go to the beach. Sometimes you just have to relax, because worrying and wallowing is not going to have it come any faster than if you relax and have faith. I used to have a plaque in my bathroom that said, "Worry ends where faith begins." And I'm not going to tell you who or what or how to have your faith in, but to understand your own who, what, or how, and when, where, and why, and that it doesn't happen in your time. Instant gratification isn't going to come in just your time. So in summary of what we've talked about this week, and if you're here and if this is helping you, please let me know. So in times of uncertainty, it's easy to feel and fall into cycles of worry and emotional wallowing, especially when constant information from the internet feeds our fears and beliefs. And we'll keep following that. That's going to be our algorithm if you keep following those fears and beliefs. I like to listen to Controlling Our Mind Gives Us the Key to Anything Exactly Ever Experienced. Exactly. So like what you're doing, working out this morning. Sometimes go work out. Sometimes we shut down when we get worried and we wallow. We just shut down, because that's a part of our central nervous system too, in that freeze. Is if you lost a job, you may not feel safe. You might feel fear. But getting a job isn't going to help you get it any faster, feeling unsafe and feeling fear. That's not going to help. When you go to an interview, that's not going to empower you when you're wallowing in those feelings. So remembering that you are a winner, remembering a time when you overcame something else, looking at that evidence on Wednesday, because you are a winner. You will be what you tell yourself that I am is. And so these patterns and behaviors, worrying, you might have been taught that in childhood. I know when I changed my mindset, I had to think about, when I did my own inventory of my thoughts and my feelings, I had to think, Stacy, because I used to get mad about some things. I was young. When I was young, I could get mad about a lot of things. And then at some point in time, between 30s and 40s, it's like, Stacy, is this your anger, or is this your mom's anger, or is this your dad's anger? Because I found that I was getting angry about things that really didn't even bother me when I sat down and thought about it. But here's the thing, is in our central nervous systems, in our ganglia chains, we have the autonomic, which is the automatic. No one can trick us if we have this ability, right? Right. Because a lot of people think they were tricked because they wanted to believe an illusion in the beginning. Because our minds are that powerful, that we will make stories up. So make up the good stories. Make up a story where you're finally finding that right and perfect job, and relax, because that can happen. It can happen. A lot of us just get in that fear. Yeah. So we're programmed, and we get out of the program. Awakening. Exactly, Canal 88. Thank you so much. Yes, we are programmed, And so when we can break our programming, that unlearn and learned behaviors, like I'm talking about, like I was saying earlier, if you didn't catch it, is that, in studying, everything from 1 to 12 years old, it was our imprint. And sometimes as an adult, like I said, I had to understand, is this me really upset about this? Because I learned a lot of behaviors like jealousy, and I had to learn the opposite of jealousy. What's on the other end of jealousy? Because it's on the same thread, you see, because we live in that electromagnetic universe where there's the positive and the negative. And so admiration, I had to learn really what I was feeling was admiration, because we have the power to feel how we want to feel. No one can make us, when we address our codependency, our reliance on other people, is why are we relying on them? Because we are in a humanity. And we do desire unity. But understanding that we don't have to people please to have that unity and community. Same energy, different pole. Exactly. And so knowing that we have harmony in between. Luke, howdy, darling. How are you this morning? I've missed you. I hope everything's been going well. I got on here a little earlier this morning because it is Wednesday. And I work and then sometimes I just have to take my happy self to the beach. So I'm going to the beach today because it's supposed to start raining here tomorrow. I'm sending thoughts to Texas, my homeland, and Oklahoma and all of those places because they're taking a beating from what I understand. But yeah, so we're still, I've been talking this week. Our topic this week was worried, wallowing, or working on it. Is how do we get our central nervous systems and realize our relationship with our central nervous system? That's why I get on here. Is a lot of times people think, oh, this is our reality. But from 1 to 12, our central nervous system was pretty trained. If we grew up in chaos, we may still be experiencing chaos. If we grew up afraid of adults, we may still be afraid of adults. This stuff doesn't just go away because we get these grown bodies. Hey, Connell. Weather here in Glasgow is crazy. Sunshine for 20 minutes, then rain. Cycles. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Well, take care of yourself out there. Yes, yes. I'll be sending you good vibes that way. But even with the rain, it's cleansing, right? Luke, beach day it is. Somehow I can't accept sunlight streams. It says they are private. That is so weird. That is so weird. I don't understand that. I know I've set up notifications for some of the creators on here, and it doesn't notify me. I have to go search them out like once a week and see what did they post because I don't see it. It doesn't notify me. They don't even pop up in my feed, and I don't know what that's about. But so, thinking about worrying about it, wallowing in it, or working on it, is this mine or is this somebody else's? Is this my parents? And it's Wednesday. A lot of times people go down that rabbit hole of fear, like the people, who have lost jobs. They'll go down and find the evidence of why they can't find a job and worry about how they're going to try harder and all of this, where we all fit in when we accept it on Wednesday. We all fit in here. And that comes with acceptance. And sometimes our central nervous system wasn't trained to accept ourselves, to think that we've got to do something else, that we've got to worry, that we've got to wallow, that this is a part of our life. And it is. I'm not saying it's not. But not to stay stuck, not to have that your everyday occurrence. Maybe get one of these tech Navy kids to help you out. I know, right? I think you meant savvy. Yes, I always experience deja vu, experiencing the same moment sometimes. Do you also feel it? I do ever experience, and that's the cool thing is that, understanding that we live in this quantum field, and I do believe that the quantum field is the deja vu when we have those moments to where we skip that beat into what we want. That's why the working on it is about what we want, is shifting from that, shifting from the everyday, the 3D, all the things that we've learned, and then to the what if of something better. I know I had to learn the what if on the positive end. Like you said, the same pole, Conal said, the same pole, different ends. So I had to change my what ifs because I used to catastrophize. I used to worry and catastrophize myself. And it's about going to the other end. So what if something else happens, and I know that if any of you ever watched The Secret or listened to The Secret, that they said, just imagine a cup of coffee coming to you. So I imagined that cup of coffee, and guess what? A cup of coffee came to me. So it's about knowing that there's magic, mystery, and miracles in this world, in this universe, in this electromagnetic field, the earth, and then the quantum field, which is what some people would call the heavens. So understanding that everything is energy, and this is why Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about that feeling, and Neville Goddard. These are people that I listen to on here and watch on here. Can I make a grr? I don't know that I need to make a grr, user, but thank you. I'm glad you're here. So hopefully something I say will help you, because I don't need to grr, because it's Wednesday. Wednesday, Wednesday. So training our central nervous system to what we want. Winning. Are you afraid of winning? I know that I've been afraid of winning. There was certainly some things I could win that I didn't even try for because the fear of loss was greater than the excitement of winning. So this is like the anxiety and excitement are, again, like Conal said earlier, on the same thread. is that one is positive, one is negative, and there's harmony in between. Because do we need to be safe? Yeah, but do we need to be, obsessive? So that's a lot of this too, is obsessiveness. So worrying can be obsessive, wallowing can be obsessive, and even work can be obsessive. So that's why I say go to the beach one day. Give yourself a break one day, knowing that your worrying and wallowing isn't going to make anything happen any more so. I think my first experience with the quantum was maybe I shouldn't be proud to say this, but when I was 16, I had a boyfriend, and he used to carry weed or these little blue and clear pills around in these old camera film containers. He got in my car with one of those things, and I was like, "What are you doing? We could get busted." And he said, "Stacy, if you think we're gonna get busted, we're gonna get busted. Just drive the car." And you know what? I didn't get busted. I just drove the car. It's about changing our mindset, because what we think about, we bring about. Ever experience? Can I guess where you are from? You tell me that. Are you in England or somewhere in the Europe? Are you in Europe? Let me see. Thank you, Conal. Thank you. I didn't see that. Love you too. I appreciate that. Thank you. I didn't get to see that. So, where are you at, Ever Experience? Not my circus, not my monkeys. Exactly, Luke, is that staying in our business. And even sometimes, I talked about that on Monday, because sometimes we will distract ourselves getting into somebody else's business. See, our intention and motivation, the law of attraction, exactly. Good morning, Beto. How are you? The law of attraction, exactly, is that what we think about, we bring about. And it's about having your energy. That's what Dr. Joe Dispenza says, is having that, because your words are expressions of your thoughts. Your feelings are expression of your body language and actions. You are very welcome, Conal. Thank you. So when we worry, we may be searching for certainty or proof. These are uncertain times, no doubt. But are they ever really certain? Everybody's growing through different times. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I try not to sugarcoat it, but to help us to understand our own intentions and motivations, that we don't have to perform. Thank you, Ever Experience. So, when we worry, we may be searching for proof of our fears, that our fears are justified. When you're scrolling, are you looking for proof that your fears are justified? How is that serving you? When we wallow, we may be unconsciously gathering evidence that reinforces those feelings of defeat. And that might have been learned behavior. But we can unlearn that. We can search for, that's what I asked you to do on Wednesday. Confirmation bias. Well, that's what I asked you to do on Wednesday. Yes, exactly, Luke. Is to look at what you've overcome in the past. Because these, we could gather evidence that these are hard times. A lot of people I see, and I work with people. Or we could take a break from gathering that evidence and realize, I don't know about you all, but I have, had worries before or thoughts, that, I need to make this amount of money. Then I went and got a massage. Then I come back and look at my bank account, and it's like, look at that. Our trying to control with worry and wallowing doesn't make it happen any faster. It does not. In fact, it could slow it down, because we're so focused on what we don't want that there's no space. So are we blocking it? Are we actually blocking it in that energy field, that quantum field? So when we worry, we may be searching for certainty. What are you searching for? I have to ask myself when I'm scrolling, what are you looking for, Stacy, when I find myself going down that rabbit hole? So both keep us stuck, the worrying and wallowing in this mental loop. So real change happens when we shift from reacting to uncertainty and actively working on our mindset, our beliefs, and our practices, because everything's practice and development. You can be practicing developing your worries and the evidence thereof, or you could be practicing developing your faith and courage of walking through this, because you've walked through other stuff before, you wouldn't be here. Detachment is a blessing. Take a break every day, out of sight, out of mind. It is. I tell people there's an art of non-attachment, and I'm so grateful to have learned that. Is I know what I want. I don't know how it's going to happen sometimes, and that's the art of non-attachment, right, Luke? Is that I know what I want. I don't know how it's going to happen, but I know that it's going to happen. And that's where, like someone mentioned earlier, that deja vu, that jump in the quantum field, is because when I imagine what's going to happen and not how I'm going to get there, I just do one thing every day. Sometimes things go my way, sometimes they don't. So all it is it's not a failure, it's just a retake. I just get to retake. And if you watch these movies, thank you for those hearts. If you watch these movies, which country are you a citizen of? Ever experience? Is it England? Is it Australia? Aw, come on. Tell me. Tell me. Luke. You know, Brian Tracy, he values goal-oriented living. If you know what you want, you don't get sidetracked. Exactly. Exactly, Luke. That's why I suggest to people always to write it down. Write it down, because like for me, I have a calendar that I write dates down on. But writing it down, because then we tend to not settle, right? Is we don't deviate. Once we write it down, for me, when I write it down, it's real. And then I won't deviate from where it is I want to grow. So focusing on where I want to grow instead of letting the outside thoughts tell me where I'm going to go, that's empowerment. You know, I shared the other day about how when I'm coaching, like somebody who's interested in my coaching, I had someone interested in my coaching, and she would say, and she would email me every couple of weeks and say, well, I don't know if it's you or not. And if they don't know, then they don't know, and they're not ready to me. You know, and I'm not going to try to sell somebody, because I don't take people's power away. I try to empower people. And so I'm not going to tell people what they want or what they need. Empowering people helps you to find out individually, because I don't talk to people like from a book. I talk to you individually, you know, and I listen to you individually. And so, yeah, that's the thing, is that I'm not trying to take away I'm trying to help them empower themselves, to help them realize through talking to me sometimes, you're from India. That was going to be my third guess. Thank you, Ever Experience. So are you doing okay over there in India? Ever Experience, South Asian. Okay. Well, thank you. I'm just so glad that you're here. And that's what I love about this platform, is I get to see people from all over the world. Every day you write down your near future goals, and then you reflect and ask, what if what I did today got me closer to these goals? You'd be surprised how much time you waste. Exactly, Luke. Thank you so much. Yes. Yeah. I suggest to my clients, I just suggested to a gentleman over the weekend, is write down your 1 to 2 week goals. Write down your 3 to 6 months goals. Write down your year goal. Because if these little goals lead you up to the big goal, instead of going from A to C, understand that there is a B there, and write down those goals in between. Because that's why most people give up, right? Is that they decide, I want this, and then they don't realize that you're gathering and gaining your authenticity and genuinity by growing through that practice and development of what it is that you want. So like you said, writing it down, staying focused on what do I want. That's what Neville Goddard says, is even when it looks like nobody's paying attention to what you're trying to do to create you, keep doing it, because you're still running with that energy, right? So remember, and I am a winner. It may not look like it today, but we didn't know we would be here today where we are today from where we were 10 years ago. So remembering that probably, you know, not just probably, we are evolving, whether we go kicking or screaming or not. Achievable small goes consistent increments. If it's too big, bleak it down. Exactly, exactly. Like I want to move to Spain. I'm not moving to Spain tomorrow. I'm not moving to Spain next month. But what I'm doing is I'm learning more Spanish, right? Every day I'm on Duolingo, you know, learning my Spanish. I'm already down here in Mexico, and like when I came to Mexico, it took 2 years to move here, to do all the paperwork to move here. We don't just, like you said, it's these small things, but it builds up that certainty to where we're not second guessing and questioning ourselves. It's when we understand and practice and development, it's not a failure. We're just building certainty. That's all. Because we do live in uncertain times. But when we grow through practice and development, we get to understand what works and what doesn't work for us. We don't have to mold ourselves into what somebody else is doing, because you are divinely you, and there's nothing that you need to do to be somebody else. Just be yourself. I love that. So thank you all. So questioning our intentions makes us aware of what we're truly looking for, right? So becoming aware, I had a thing on TikTok is that all these people are blowing up, and it's like, hello, we can make money, trying to make money. Do I want to make money? Yes. But is that my whole and soul intention? Because I have a belief system in me that says that if I'm doing what is in my heart, that what will come to me. But I have to do something in my heart. I can't just sit on the couch and be like, I have love in my heart. I have to get up, like Luke said, and do these small increments. Like Ever Experiencing Canal is just do these small increments on a daily basis or weekly basis. And then before I know it, I'm where I want to be. 10 years ago, I wasn't here. Almost 10 years ago, I was. But like I said, it took me 2 years to get here to Mexico. Now I want to go live in Europe and Spain. And so I'm not going to be there next month. It's probably going to be a year from now, is what I project. Probably a year from now. So I'm working on my Spanish. I had a great time. I got to go to have my pre-workout meal. Got to see. Oh, it's good to see you too, Ever Experience. And thank you for joining from India. And I look forward to seeing you next time, okay? I'll be back on here Friday night. It's 7 o'clock Central Standard, 8 Eastern Standard. So I hope to see you then. We're almost done this morning. I thank y'all so much for being here, or maybe we aren't. I don't know. So question our intentions and our motivations. Our intention is what's in our mind, and our motivation is what our body is going to do, right? So for me, I know writing it down helps me to do what my body is going to do, because I put I have to actually physically do something. I can't just sit. Just thinking about things will not make them come true. I mean, they might for some people, but for me, if I write it down, it's happening. It's real, So it's an imprint, just like it's an imprint. It's an imprint, and if I write it down, I'm going to do it, and I'm not going to deviate, because we're all human beings. We all have the capacity to rationalize and justify why we're not going to do something. But to write down why we're going to do something, that's your intention and motivation. So like we said earlier, your mind will go, energy will flow, and your mind will grow, and it works together. So consciously choosing what we focus on. So be conscious on what you focus on. Like I said, I watched Neville Goddard on here. I watched Dr. Joe Dispenza. I watched Lewis Howes. I watch all these motivating things. There's enough to spare in the world. I can tell you TMZ is also in my feed, and I choose when and when. I'm not going to watch that every day, but every once in a while, I like to see that stuff too. But I have to ask myself, I'm not going to sit there and obsess about any of that. So to move forward, we must practice new patterns, feeding our minds with empowering ideas and cultivating faith and self-trust and focusing on creating Conal. Attention goes, energy flows. Yes, thank you for that. Thank you, Conal. I appreciate that. Yes, make it as easy for yourself as possible. Get a language. Yes, I do. I'm on Duolingo. Get an extra savings account so you don't get tempted. Yes. Yes, because our mind is powerful, and we realize the power of our mind, and we can trick ourselves anyway in our mind, right? So we can trick ourselves to what's going to help us in our future. We can trick ourselves to what's going to bring us fear in the current, or we can trick ourselves to thinking that our past is our reality now. And this is why we do the breath work at the end of these labs, is because we get focused on it. Helps our central nervous system, first off, to feel safe. But when we give our brain oxygen, we get divine ideas. And then our cells get regenerated. Look, I can't go back and make my hair not turn this color. I can't. I could with chemicals and things like this, but I was thinking about that this morning. There's no chemicals on my hair. I just took my nail polish off this morning, but I do all of that myself. I pamper myself with massages. That helps me, help my central nervous system, because I can get amped up too. So next week will probably be a massage, So these things, sometimes you just got to relax. You're not going to draw to you any faster by worrying and wallowing. It's not. So ultimately, worry and wallowing drain our power. So when you do get an interview, or when you do get the opportunity, are you going to be fully present? You can learn to be fully present now or fully present later. But at some point in life, you're going to learn to be fully present, whether it's positively or negatively. You get to choose. See, that's empowering, is understanding your choices. So while working on ourselves through awareness is the remover of obstacles. If the cabin loses oxygen, the mask drop. You can put your own mask on first. Exactly. And we can't give from an empty cup, right? We can't give from an empty cup, and we can't give something we don't have already. But a lot of times in working with people, I find that they know what rejection feels like. So they're trying to keep protecting somebody else from feeling rejection, but not knowing how to set boundaries themselves so that they don't experience rejection. So, and if they don't learn this, then they don't learn how to deal with loss, that grief. There's over 300 different types of grief. And as human beings, when we check our intention and motivation, typically we're always running on the fear of not getting what we want, or the fear of losing what we have. That's survival, right? And so sometimes people are just running on those survival instincts. So we have to train our own survival instincts to be at peace, to be winning. So we focus on creating what we want rather than proving why things can't work, right? And so change takes time. To understand that when change is taking time, we just stay focused on what it is we want. And that art of non-attachment, of not knowing, do what I say, not what I do. Yeah, that came to a lot of us in our childhood imprints, is that, so we got mixed, what that made was mixed messages, and it made us in this uncertainty of looking for proof still, right? So, just understand, change takes time. It's one breath at a time. You can't breathe yesterday's breath today. You can't breathe tomorrow's breath today. All you can do is feel safe in your breath today. And just imagine the goodness that can come to you rather than imagining those dark imaginings. I have that Desiderata poem, and it talks about the dark imaginings, that we all have the capacity to do that. And the world, with all of its sham and drudgery, is still a beautiful place. So focus on the beauty that's in you, because you're part of this beautiful space. So working on ourselves through awareness, the removal of obstacles, practice, and belief helps us to align with growth, creativity, and possibility. So here's some 5 tips I've got written down here from shifting from worry and wallowing to working on it. 1, ask yourself, what am I looking for? When you catch yourself worrying or going down the mental rabbit hole, pause and ask this question. Often we're searching for confirmation of fear rather than solutions. Are you searching for confirmations of your fears? Awareness interrupts the automatic pattern, the autonomic chain, because sometimes we've been taught to automatically look for the worst. Hope for the best, but expecting the worst. Thinking that that's going to save you. That's not going to save you. That just keeps you, it keeps that mixed message going on, right? Because that's a mixed message. Hoping for the best, but expecting the worst. That's a mixed message. So what are you looking for? What do you want? That's important. You're important. If this helps one person today or affirms for you what you already know, then I'm good. I can go to this beach. I'm going to go to the beach anyway. So check your intentions and beliefs on secondly. Notice whether your thoughts are gathering evidence or defeat or possibility. If your beliefs challenge your progress, gently question them and change the beliefs to support growth rather than limitation. Canal, you create the distance, perceiving you as without. Exactly. Perceptions. Perceptions are what we gathered from those years to 1 to 12. And we have to change our own perceptions as adults. Not blame our parents, but just taking responsibility for ourselves as adults and changing our own perceptions. Because as we evolve, things do change. Chaos isn't really chaotic. It all depends on your vantage point. The universe is this closed circuit. It's as easily. Yes. Thank you, Luke. Yes, both of you, Kanal and Luke. Because look, I love that. Because Luke, I'm a Johnny Depp fan. I've got on my Hollywood Vampires T-shirt this morning. So anyway, but he in his commercial he says, and I remembered that line because I believe it's so true, is there's chaos and harmony and the whole world turns blue, and so we're all experiencing things. It's not personal. See, that's the art of non-attachment too, right, Luke, is that it's not personal. Sauvage. Exactly. So it's not personal. We all have our personal experiences. I'm not saying that it's not personal to you. I'm not trying to invalidate your feelings because I want to validate your feelings. But at the same time, I want you to know that the universe isn't out to get you. Nobody is out to get you but our own mindset sometimes. I know I was trained that there were folks out to get me too. I used to think that I was just defeated. I thought that was my lot in life, but it's not. I had to learn to think differently. And that's why I get on here. That's my intention and motivation, is to help you understand and realize your power, which you already know, Luke, and Canal, you already know because, and Ever Experience already knows. So, understanding and just reaffirming and lifting each other up. I thank y'all for, sharing this morning. I thank y'all for sharing this morning. So retraining, the third one is retraining your mental algorithm. If you want to know what you're thinking and what you're feeling, as soon as you pick up your phone or turn on your device, it will tell you where you've been taking your mind, because it's not going to feed you something that you haven't input. So again, are you looking for investigating, looking for evidence of your doom? Are you looking for evidence of what you can do? This is Wednesday. So on Wednesday, we're looking for our wins. What have you overcome? Because you're still here. See, it's not personal. We're all going through things that are up and down. This is just simple as your breath, like we're about to do in a minute. As our breath goes up and down, our heart rate goes up and down, our whole life experience goes up and down. It's not personal. It's not like maybe you were taught in religion to where if you be good, you are very welcome. Thank you, Konal. Thank you. Is that this is part of living in this electromagnetic and quantum field, is that things go up and down. That's the way that it is. And it's not personal, but it feels personal. I know it does. And it breaks your heart. And it's your experience that's going to empower you to help someone else. But we have to heal ourselves first, right? Have to heal ourselves first, because we can't give from an empty cup. Our trying to heal someone else isn't going to heal us. And I know I did that in my codependency, is I was trying to heal people from my own experiences, but I hadn't healed my own experience. And I think that a lot of us do that. And I had to learn to heal my own experience so I didn't project my experiences onto other people. You see, this is where they come up with hurt people. So 4 is turn fear into practice. In school, I had an attention problem. I couldn't sit still for math or English class, but I could find a way, hell or high water, to learn Exactly, Luke. Exactly. And that's where your talents and gifts are, right? Is that not all of us were meant to, that we all have these different gifts, skills, and talents. And my gift, skill, and talent doesn't take away from somebody else's, even if it's similar. I oftentimes on my Facebook will promote other people who are mindset coaches. because my intention and motivation is that people understand that we get by with a little help from our friends. We get by with a little help from somebody else. Sometimes we have to be able to say our words. If we didn't get to express our words as a child, it's hard to express them as an adult. Therefore, we may still carry fear of other adults because we just simply haven't learned to express our words and our power, because it just wasn't something we learned or was taught. Learned behavior goes a long way, but we can unlearn that, and that's our responsibility as an adult, is to unlearn that learned behavior if it's no longer serving us. I was giving thanks this morning. Like I had to come from an alcoholic and codependent parents, and that's not all bad. They taught me some strength and resilience. There is no such thing as talent. It's all it is interest pursued. Well, yeah, that's true too. But even though I may be interested in singing, it's not going to put my voice up there like what I would aspire it to be, you know. So yeah, I get that though too. That it is. It's like I didn't understand my own, Luke. Is that you know, I come from Stacy's Organizing and Decorating. That was my business in Texas. Yes, touche. My business in Texas was Stacy's Organizing and Decorating, and that's I morphed to a life coach because I was all in people's business and organizing and decorating. I would start with a job maybe for a week, and that didn't put me as an interior designer. What I did was I worked with what people had, and I put things in order for their comfort. And this is what I do as a mindset coach: is I help people work with what they have and put it in order and comfort to, turn their what their perceived weaknesses are into strengths, to help them see to the other side. Because it's not that there's anything wrong with us. There's nothing. I wasn't stupid, but I thought that I was at one time, because I just didn't feel like I was getting it, like that math and English. I could do English, but math not so. I can do basic math, but when we get to formulas and stuff, it's like I'm lost. As much as I love philosophy and numbers are a part, and everything, that I can remember some numbers. I digress. See, this is why I have these notes, but I'm going to get back to the notes. But I get excited talking about this stuff. You take inventory and put their minds in order. Exactly. Okay, that's what I was talking about. Thank you, Luke. Because yes, when I moved to Mexico, I'm not allowed to work in Mexico. So as much as I loved, I would start working with people sometimes for a week, and then I ended up, one of my clients, I was her, I worked with her for 3 years. I became her house manager because I knew everything of her house. I knew everything of her inventory. Like you said, I knew my own inventory. I knew her inventory, and she came to me as a coach too, because she trusted me. And so I don't take that trust lightly. And so I was able to point out to her her own things, that when she got to express her thoughts to me, then she got to hear her thoughts. And then that helped her to navigate where she wanted to grow, what she needed to let go of and where she wanted to grow, those leaves that we pick off when things are growing. So she got to figure that out. And then what I tell people is that in this organizing and decorating, I help people clean out their closets, those things that no longer fit or no longer serve them and not in their style anymore. I help them get rid of those things so that they can see clearly what they've been looking for all along, those outfits, those ideas that they've been looking for all along, that they had within them already, and that they can even add room, that they have room to add to whatever it is that they want to do, because they get to have different experiences. So it's clothed in these experiences that they want to have but haven't realized how to get there yet. So then we go under the beds and clean the cobwebs out in their head, right? So they can see clearly where they want to go, because sometimes we just get overwhelmed and we have to remove that stuff from on top of our soul, and that's how I help people grow. So 4 is turn fear into practice. Your nervous system is used to familiar patterns, even uncomfortable ones, and change happens through the repetition of new actions, writing it down. And then on Wednesday, saying, oh, I achieved this, and that's what builds our self-esteem. Is it doesn't just come to us. It's not our parents' fault if we don't have it, although it might not have helped. I'm not saying that because I've heard some terrible stories, But those are my heroes, the overcomers, you know. So repetition of new actions. What if I do this? And when we understand that our life could be like those video games, this matrix, the video games or the movies that we watch, that we spend our mindless energy on, being the star of our own movie, the hero of our own video game. I know we're dodging fireballs, we're dodging all kinds of things. That tells you how old I am when I tell you we're dodging. But, and then jumping. Is that all the actors, they had retakes. They never said their lines that moved us so well the first time, or maybe they did, but there's a lot of them that they had a retake. And that's all life is a series of retakes, from a mistake to a retake. We're all going to make mistakes. But that's how we become empowered, is that retake. So repetition of new actions, such as gratitude, mindful breathing, learning, creating, and taking small steps towards your goals, like Luke had said earlier. And like what I encourage is writing down one for the next 2 weeks, one for 3 to 6 months, and one for the long haul, because you'll start navigating that way. See, your mind has to have an end point. You don't have to know how you're going to get there. You can have a series of retakes to get there, and that's going to be your practice and development, your genuinity and authenticity. That's what that is. So 5, the last one, and then we're going to breathe. Focus cannot force outcomes. Life is messy. Embrace it. You're all the happier. Exactly. Like the Desiderata poem says, is that the world with all of its sham and drudgery is still a beautiful place, and we're a part of it, So focus on creating and not controlling. This is number 5. You cannot force outcomes, but you can choose your actions and your focus. Focus in your actions. Trust the process. There is a process, and trusting the process. I talk about belief, faith, and trust, and the magic, mystery, and miracles in each and all of us. The mystery is the transformation. A lot of us don't realize that's that non-attachment, right, y'all? The non-attachment is the mystery, is that we don't know how these things are going to unfold. They're not going to be all right and perfect. It's going to build character, genuinity, authenticity. Then you're going to be able to help somebody because of building that genuinity and authenticity and that practice and development in the mystery, the transformation. So it's the magic, mystery, and miracles with the belief, faith, and the trust, and the magic, mystery, and miracles working in and through each and all of us. There's nobody out to get you. And if you get a bad vibe from somebody, by all means, take care of yourself. Not everybody does have your back. Not everybody does. Some people will be jealous. They just haven't learned the art of admiration yet. So their attachment pulls back, their attachment to how they think things are supposed to turn out, or that somebody can take away from them. What's meant for us is meant for us. And so you cannot force outcomes, but you can choose your focus and your actions. Trust the process, allow ideas and change to, time to grow, to flourish, and keep moving toward what you want rather than obsessing over what you fear. Okay? So as we breathe in, I want you to think about your wins, what you've overcome in the past, and what can I practice today that moves me closer to what I want. Or just relax and go to the beach like me, because you can't force these things. Focus on creating and not controlling. When I relax, I can get these divine ideas. When you relax, so it's not that's the art of non-attachment and being comfortable in the transformation process, is understanding it is a process. It's not an event. It's not just, it is going to happen like that, but you can't make it happen like that, right? Is that when things start moving, they start moving. We've experienced this before. Is that before we know it, we're doing whatever this is that we dreamed of. So let's take some breaths in, breathe in. What do you want? And then hold how that's going to feel, because that feeling being matched with what you want. And if you have any doubts, breathe it out. If you have any pains in your body, breathe it out. But we're going to do it gentle and slow, because none of us like to be rushed and hurried. We got to be in that divine flow. We can't control that divine flow. But we can just do the next right thing, the thing that's going to get us closer to where we want to be. And understand that if it's not coming right now, it's not personal. It's coming. You just got to keep faith and keep doing it in that mystery. Okay? So we're only going to do 5 breaths if you're new here, so don't think I'm going to have you breathing all day. We're going to do 5 breaths. Are y'all ready for this? Luke, did you say something and I missed it? Life is messy. Yes, yes. So here we grow. We're going to breathe and connect with our soul. Our brain loves oxygen. Our veins love oxygen. Ideas can't come in when you're stressed and in the flight or fight mode. First, you got to rewire. Exactly. Exactly. This breathing will help you rewire because it helps you to be in the present moment. It helps you to know that right this minute, you're safe. You are safe. So let's be safe right now and breathe in that safety, breathe in what we want and hold that feeling. Sometimes it's childlike because when we heal and get to restore ourselves, reset, restore, is that we get to return to that childlike self, that resilient child that had these dreams that were wild. And then as an adult, we get to merge that together and bring it to fruition. So let's just breathe out those times when we were taught condition. So let's take a deep breath in. Fill up your tummy. Notice your chest rising and hold it. Your shoulders are back. There's no lack. And then release gently and slowly out of your mouth. Breathe in. Hold it. What do you hear? Release. Gently and slowly. Did you hear the birds like I heard while I was breathing the breeze in the trees? Breathe in. Hold it. And release. Just 2 more. Breathe in. Chest rising like a lion. Hold it. You are powerful. Now release any fears. Last one. Let's breathe in our winds. Hold it, hold that feeling. And release what we want out there in the ethers, the universe, and go in peace. All right, y'all. I'll be thinking of y'all today while I'm on the beach. Peace be upon you too, Muhammad. Thank you so much for being here this morning. Thank you, Luke. I'm so glad that I caught you today. And thank you, Kamal. Thank you all so much for being here today. Konal. Thank you. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful Wednesday. Count those wins. And then, think of what else you want to win. Stay focused on that. All right. Thank you so much. I'll see y'all Friday night. Fix that thing with the live streams. I know, right? Right? Hey, Bernard, it's good to see you. I am good. I'm about to get off of here and start getting ready to go to the beach before those rays get tough. It's 8 o'clock. I think we'll probably be on the beach by 9 o'clock and then be off the beach by 12 o'clock probably because that's when the rays start getting very bad. Peace to you, Luke, too. I'll see y'all Friday night at 7 Central Standard and 8 Eastern Standard. Much gratitude to you, too. Thank you, Kanal. Bernard, you're doing good. You have a great day, too, Bernard. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful for all of you who've shown up here this morning, participated, and subscribed to this channel. Thank you so much for feeding this algorithm because I hope that it's a good, positive one and helpful. If I helped one person today, that was my intention and motivation, or just getting to sit with you all. That was amazing. Thank you so much. Peace. Like, bye. Wednesday.